welcome in to this edition of The Big Show on a Tuesday, post-Memorial Day. Brenden, Schaeffer, and Gabby Velasquez are with you for the next couple of hours as Andy, well, I think right now he is somewhere in Niagara Falls. Gabby, he said he wasn't going to jump in a barrel and try to go overboard, but you just never know. That's the only thing I think of with Niagara Falls is people that have done that. Would you hop in the barrel? It's probably risk-free. I can't imagine it could go wrong.
I think I'd be kind of down for something like that. I like roller coasters, and basically it's the exact same thing. A little bit more water. Just a little bit.
Not a huge difference.
Yeah.
Well, Andy's doing that. We hope to catch up with him, next week, unless the barrel takes him elsewhere. But for now, we've got some baseball to talk about. Heavy on the Cardinals and Royals today, as the Cardinals had a split over the weekend with Cincinnati. Didn't play all the games that they intended to play, but they had that series. And then in Milwaukee yesterday, Jacob Misiorowski happened. So we'll catch you up on all the happenings with the Cardinals here in just a couple of minutes. We will also catch up with the injury expert, Will Carroll. Plenty of Cardinals and Royals injuries to update on this week. That's coming up at 4:25. We do have a little Ahmad Hardy update because the SEC spring meetings are happening, and Eli Drinkwitz gave a quote on that, among other things, as we'll get into some talk from the spring meetings at 5:05, some Royals, and maybe even a little Olympics talk, as Gabby is pretty excited about one of the new events that will be coming to an Olympics near you in 2028. You can give us a call or a text on the show today by typing up 573-875-KTGR. You can also join in the show. Watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports, or find us on Twitter at KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Yeah, so the Cardinals only played 2 games over the weekend. They split a doubleheader on Saturday, and they were rained out the other days. But we'll tell you about Memorial Day's game in Milwaukee, a 5-1 loss for the Brewers, in which Matthew Liberatore struck out 10 batters. That's the second consecutive outing in which Libby set a new career high for strikeouts, but again, not completely effective. It's only a 5-inning outing, gave up 3 runs, and was certainly outclassed by Jacob Misiorowski. 7 innings, 1 run allowed, and Miz struck out 12 Cardinals as the Brewers, well, if you've looked lately, they're climbing in the NL Central standings. They're in first place now, 2.5 games clear of the Cardinals, with the Cardinals needing to try and find a way to avoid the Brewers from running away. They've won 7 of their last 10. Cardinals have split their last 10 games, but they are in second place as the Cubs have now dropped 9 out of their last 10. That is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 26th day of May, 2026. 875-KTGR. to give us a call or a text. And Gabby, the Cardinals will see those same Cubbies coming up this weekend at Busch Stadium. But before they can get to that series, running a little bit of a risk of an NL Central that has been pretty tightly contested all season long. The risk now is the Brewers potentially pulling away in this division. Jacob Misiorowski, Cardinals just couldn't touch him yesterday. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, he was dominant, and it feels like most every time they see him, he is racking up the strikeouts, which I get it. He does that to everybody, but man, it seems like the Cardinals in particular, Miz has their number, and we saw that yesterday afternoon.
I feel like it's a bit of a win to say, hey, we broke the scoreless streak at this point, because I don't think anyone's really doing much against him. I mean, he's on a bit of a run that we haven't seen since, I believe it was Spencer Strider in 2023, like the fastest to 100 strikeouts in about he's done 11 starts at this point. I mean, he's insane. And I fear him greatly because he's throwing the ball at speeds that could pulverize a person. And he's doing it regularly. It's not just like 1 or 2, above 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that he's throwing. He hit 104? Usually you just see that for monster closers who only have to throw 1 inning. You don't see it in a starter.
He's set the mark for the fastest pitch by a starter. I believe he had 57 pitches at 100 miles per hour or more, which broke a record of Hunter Green's from a couple years ago. He of the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, yeah, he's throwing hard. He's got nasty off-speed stuff. And the Cardinals are, pretty much helpless to do much against him. I'm, like you said, happy that got even a run. I'm looking right now after that game. The current Cardinal roster has a collective 161 batting average and a 462 OPS lifetime against Jacob Mizorowski. And yesterday was another one of those games. And if I'm the Brewers, this is a matchup that we'll see throughout the season. I would make sure that Miz is lined up for those divisional matchups, especially if the Cardinals continue to, I don't know, be the team that's the top contender right now, which is the way the standings play out with the Cardinals 2.5 games behind Milwaukee. But if the rest of this series, Gabby, doesn't turn around for the Cardinals, you do run the risk of potentially fading out a little bit. A long way to go in a baseball season, of course. We're not even to the end of May, but the whole year, it seems like with the division, everybody's above 500. There wasn't a team that really stood above the rest. The Cubs crashing back down to earth has sort of opened the door for Milwaukee. Feel like we do this every single year coming into the season. We look to have reasons to write off the Brewers and say, well, they're trading away guys. They're not really going to be the same as they were. And before this season, I said, I'm not falling for it. I'm going to just assume Milwaukee's going to be at least in a wild card, at least in a playoff spot. But right now, is this the most fearsome team in the division, in your opinion? Are the Brewers running the risk, at least if you're the other four teams, of kind of pulling away from the crowd here?
I don't necessarily know if anyone's going to be pulling away from the crowd at any point, but at this point, the Brewers are playing the most solid baseball on both sides. They've got really good pitching. They've been hitting the ball really, really well, and doing it against decent pitching as well. So I think at this point, they're the team to beat in the NL Central. I think even when the Cubs were really, really good, they had some glaring weaknesses that someone had to exploit at some point, and they're still pretty banged up. Who knows when Matthew Boyd is going to take the mound again, pitching-wise. But, the Brewers have played solid ball, even when they were languishing in the mid to bottom of the NL Central. They still looked fine. And when their bats are hot, they're really scary. I think they're playing so solid, and they can beat you in so many different ways. And then, of course, obviously, if you have the Miz up and he's slinging the ball like he did against the Cardinals, there's not much you can do there, when all you can manage is a run and they can drop 5 on you. 3 in, I believe it was the first inning. Like they hit right away.
Yeah, let's talk about that with Matthew Liberatore. I did want to look. I was looking at the Brewers roster and just their stats. And when you have a team that has Andrew Vaughn, 930 OPS, Bryce Turang, 888, Bowers is at 835, Yelich is above 800. Gary Sanchez is kind of a, not even a full-time player necessarily, but he's nearing 800. William Contreras at 782. Like Jackson Chourio is listed 8th on their team, and he's at 726. He's certainly not performing up to what you want to see, but he's had some injuries. It's crazy to me just how deep that lineup can go. And then they have pitching that the Cardinals don't have. The Cardinals don't have swing and miss. They've been talking about that all season long, that their rotation, it just doesn't have those guys that can do what Mizorowski can do, double-digit strikeout totals in a game like we saw for him yesterday. And yet, here's Matthew Liberatore, his second game in a row in which he is setting a new career high in strikeouts in an outing. He had 9 in his previous start at Busch Stadium, didn't get deep in that game. I don't even think he completed 5 innings in that one. And now we're seeing him go 10 strikeouts in the game yesterday, but the runs, he gives them up early, gets through 5 innings in this one, seemed to sharpen a bit as the game went along, but just not efficient enough to really fully take advantage of how good the stuff looked. What's your opinion right now of Matthew Liberatore as you see him? Because this is a guy that started the first game of the season for the Cardinals. He wanted the ball. He wanted to be kind of getting first crack as the opening day starter, and everything he did in spring earned him that opportunity. But now you look up and you kind of think about the stats and the runs given up. It's just he hasn't been the Cardinals' best starter, and there's a case to be made that he's closer to their number 5 right now than their number 1, despite the fact that the strikeout stuff has been significantly better in his last couple of games.
Yeah, and the strikeouts are good, but at the same time, it's a consistency thing, right? You want out of a starter, you'd like to get some quality starts out of the guy. You'd like to have him go deeper in games, especially when your bullpen can be shaky at times and you want to give them at least a little bit of a breather. But I don't know. It's giving up runs early is so rough because you can recover and come back and strike out 10, but it doesn't matter because those strikeouts don't subtract runs, you know? He just hasn't shown me that kind of consistency that I would want to see out of a guy who wanted to be the guy at the start of the year. You know, I'm a Phillies fan. He kind of reminds me of Aaron Nola, in the way where you can have these really strong showings, but you have one awful inning, one bad inning that kind of just takes away the effect and the magic of anything else that comes before or after it. And that's kind of what I'm seeing out of him so far this year. I just, he confuses me so much because those strikeouts were good. And then I'm like, where was that in the first inning when you're supposed to be freshest? But I don't know. It's rough because you would expect seeing those good innings that he can put together. You're just like, it's like missing a puzzle piece in like a 1,000 piece puzzle. And you're so close. You're so close to having that missing piece, but it just, I don't know, that first inning was really messy.
It was messy. He gave up 3 runs. That's been atypical. I mean, Libertor's, some of his struggles, you've been able to point to an inning that happens a little bit later. Oftentimes it's around the 5th inning where he might hit a wall, and it's a 30 some odd pitch inning that you just say, well, you know, that kind of ends up defining your outing one way or another. This time it was kind of the opposite of that. He started off a little bit rocky and then was able to settle in, only got through 5 innings. So he didn't really get an opportunity because his pitch count was up at 100. Didn't get a chance to see, okay, now that you have kind of established yourself in this game, what does a 6th inning push look like? That's something that the Cardinals will try to get more out of their starters when it comes to this season, getting into the months of June and July and so on. But with Libertor, he just had such a high pitch count that I don't think the Cardinals were going to consider pushing him in that game any further. So ERA up in the high 4s. That's definitely showing some room for improvement. But if he's able to do that and be consistent throughout some of these full starts, I think you'll see that ERA start to drop for Matthew Libertor, because he is showing an uptick in the stuff and the ability to get swing and miss, which has been something we have kind of talked down on the Cardinal rotation with regard to that throughout the season. And yet in a start where he was not able to get the job done quite to the extent that you want to see, he's able to find the swing and miss. So we'll see if Matthew Libertor can more consistently put that together. Offensively, we've seen Jordan Walker climb up to 15 home runs already at this point. It's something that we didn't really know what to expect from him coming in, but he has, Gabby, continued to show the staying power of a guy that, I mean, he's all-star caliber and maybe more than that. 15 home runs, OPS still sitting at 952. It seems like every time Jordan Walker has a little spell where it's maybe not looking quite the same, he comes up with a swing like we saw on Saturday night in the nightcap against Cincinnati, a big 3-run home run that helped the Cardinals toward a tie, and then extra innings where they unfortunately weren't able to get that win. But what's your impression, Ben, of Jordan Walker? I mean, this is a guy that was a first-round pick. Cardinals had high expectations for, was bottoming out really last season, and suddenly you flip a switch and he is the MVP that was promised, apparently.
Yeah, you talk about a missing puzzle piece. He found that missing piece in the offseason. He's my favorite member of this Cardinals team as of right now. I love how he plays the game. He's such a huge guy, but he plays with so much athleticism. And this is going to sound really nerdy. OPS is my favorite stat in baseball. I think it tells you so much. It tells you so much about the effectiveness of a player. And
it's simple. Like, it's not a complex stat.
It's better than batting average. I will die on this hill. But the fact that a 900 OPS out of the guy is crazy. He's hitting for so much power, and he's doing it when the Cardinals need it. He's not really showing that he's afraid of these big moments. And sure, yes, it's May, but he has been producing at such a high level that I'm such a fan of this guy. I want to see him in the home run derby so bad, as long as it doesn't break him.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Cardinals.
No, I know.
You know what? Maybe we just leave well enough alone. We're really enjoying the season you're putting together. And I'll bet you Walker feels the same way, because it's been so interesting to early in the season, as he's putting this together, have the chance to ask him questions and kind of hear how he's thinking about things. And Gabby, it just seemed like, especially early, every time you'd ask him, he had that stretch where he hit 7 homers in 8 games or whatever it was. And you'd ask him, how are you doing this? And people would say, did you make this switch with your mechanics? It looks like this, it looks like that. And it would just be like, he wouldn't literally do it, but figuratively, he's sticking his fingers in his ears. La, 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 la. I don't want to hear you heap the praise on me and bring discussion of how I'm doing this into the picture, because I'm afraid you'll take it away, right, if I start talking about it. And he just has been so committed to the process of, you know what, you're going to swing and miss sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get fooled by a breaking pitch. Sometimes you're going to chase, but don't do it the next time. Like, just continue to be committed to your process and don't let those valleys take away from the next time you're going to be able to achieve a peak. He's stayed pretty even keel, and like, it sounds very cliche, but I think that's been huge in Jordan Walker, just being able to have some success, because you like those OPS. Look at his OPS the last couple of years, and it's just a far cry from
500s, 400s.
Fives, and
really bad.
I saw it posed over the weekend, and I ended up putting this poll question out on Twitter because a buddy of mine asked me, 15 home runs, if you'd been told at the beginning of the season, like, Jordan Walker's going to hit 15 homers this year, would you take it? And I thought, well, I would want more information. I'd want to know, what's the OPS, right? Can you give me a number? But I thought, if I'm being honest with myself about my hopes for Jordan Walker, if you would have told me 15 homers, like a 748 OPS, I would have said, press the button, I'm in. Like, I just want to see him be a tenable league average player. Maybe you can get to a point where you're above that, Jordan Walker, but like, let's just find a foundation. Well, his foundation, I don't know if it's 950 on the OPS, but it seems that he has found one. And I can trust now, the next time he goes through a slump, that it's not the end, that he's going to come out on the other side of it. I think that's been the biggest gain for Jordan Walker this season. It's fun to see him performing like an MVP, but just to know that, like, he's got an answer for, okay, things aren't going well, to be able to come out on the other side of that, I think has been his key.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's not letting any, like, rough games spiral, because you could see a lot of, like, some swings and misses, like, really weigh on him, especially like last year and the year before, and it would get to his head. But he's staying way calmer, and you're seeing that reflected in the success that he's having, because, he comes with one bad game, and then next game he hits a really important multi-run homer, and then it's fine. And I think he's so important for just maintaining like the work ethic and the excitement in that locker room. He is such a great story for any of these players to look at, because, I mean, look, having years like he had last year and the year before, they could break a lesser person. They could really make you want to just give up on the thing. But, he's kind of stuck to it, and he's improved. And I think that in future seasons, I'll take a worse OPS at this point. Like, this is a stunning year where it really just makes you wish that Shohei Ohtani could win his own award, and then we could give the MVP out in the NL to other people sometimes. But, with the way that he's been playing and the way that he's improved defensively and when he's at bat, like, man, I just want to throw a trophy at him at this point.
I think All-Star is a recognition that he's certainly tracking toward, and we'll see if he's able to keep up what he is doing, because the pace that he's on, he will be getting some MVP votes, even though, like you said, I think that's kind of the Shohei award these days in most National League seasons. Cardinals will be back at it tonight, 6:40 p.m. First pitch. You can catch the pregame beginning around 5:50. So make sure, if you want to listen to our full show, you head over to the KTGR app to catch the very tail end of our program today. Michael McGreevy on the mound for the Cardinals. He's been their best starter, a 2.40 ERA, taking on a lefty, Kyle Harrison, who's been really sharp this season with a sub-2 ERA, sitting at 1.77. The Cardinals countering Harrison with a little bit more of a right-handed heavy look to their lineup. Jose Fermin playing third base and batting fifth in the Cardinal order today. That's one way to get another righty in there. They've also got Joel Pozo as the DH in this one with Ivan Herrera behind the plate. Jordan Walker batting third, so they're going to get that right-handed bat in there in the first inning against Kyle Harrison. We'll see if the Cardinals can stop what the Brewers have been doing as they've been cruising and currently out ahead 2.5 games of the Cardinals. But, hey, if the Cardinals can bounce back the next couple of games, Cardinals can go into that weekend against Chicago within a half game of the Brewers. That is still a possibility here for the division. So that's what's going on tonight with the Cardinals. Otherwise, we've got some Cardinals updates on injuries that we'd like to bring to you when we chat with Will Carroll, the injury expert, coming up next. We've also got maybe an unfortunate update on Cole Reagans from the Royals' standpoint of things. So stay tuned through the break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Will Carroll about all the injuries relevant to your interests in Major League Baseball. Next on The Big Show, KTGR.
Miss the latest edition of The Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now wherever you get your apps.
St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Over the years, it has meant the Gas House Gang, Stan the Man, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, The Wizard, Big Mac, Yachty, Waino, and Pujols. All those names, and they provided so many memories. St. Louis Cardinals baseball, most importantly, has meant championship baseball. We'll be describing every play right here on the Cardinals Radio Network, powered by Gray Bar.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company, coming out of the really cold weather periods, and you're thinking about the road trips that you want to take this spring and summer. Don't forget about checking up on your tires, though. Make sure that they are in good shape for those long road trips, and head into Lee's Tire Company because they're the tire experts. They've got a huge selection, and they have so many ways to give you money back in your pocket whenever you buy new tires, including this month when they give you $140 back on select sets of 4 Cooper tires or $180 back on select Goodyear tires. There are so many other deals that they run each and every month. You can find them at leestirecompany.com. You can also go there to browse their full selection, put your specs in, see what they've got available to you, and then head into Lee's Tire Company on the Business Loop in Columbia or at University Garage by the MU campus or their location in Centralia. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com.
You know how some car lots sell you a vehicle and then vanish into thin air the second you drive away? Yeah, not at mockinsford.com. There, you can shop one of the largest selections of new and used vehicles in Missouri. F-150s, Broncos, Mavericks, SUVs, cars, trucks. They've got options for days, all at mockinsford.com. Because Mockins Ford is more than a car lot. Need service? Done. Body shop? Done. Mobile glass and fleet services? You got it. It's like the Swiss Army knife of car places. Get more with Mockins Ford. Start today at mockinsford.com. You're going to learn guitar. Gonna remodel the bathroom. Gonna start gaming again. You're also going to spend way too much money. If you're a wannabe hobbyist, get some help at Family Pawn. You'll save big on instruments, gaming consoles, tools, or, whatever you're into right now. If and when it doesn't work out, just sell it back and wait for your next great idea. Visit FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Everyone's looking for their paradise. For some, the search starts at a dispensary. At Shangri-La, it is the dispensary. Because Shangri-La isn't a shady, I can't wait to get out of here kind of spot. It's a welcoming, fun place to hang out, watch TV, and learn about the massive product selection with the cool staff. Whether you're a regular or first-timer, they'll get you set up just the way you like. Because Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Spring is here, and everything winter left behind is showing. The garage you can't park in, the shed you can't open, the attic full of, we'll deal with it later. Well, let me tell you, later is now. Time to call Wreck and Roll. From spring cleanouts and hauling junk away to full cleanups. They bring the crew, the dumpsters, and the muscle, so you don't have to. Get ahead of the clutter and start spring off clean with Wreck and Roll, where they roll in, wreck it right, and leave it clean. Find them at wreckandroll.net.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering, and with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef. full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
250 years is something to celebrate. Instead of candles, KTGR wants to give away 250 American flags. Enter now on the KTGR app to score your free American flag. Thanks to Mockins Ford. If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
And we're back here on the big show, KTGR and KTGR.com. Brenden Schaeffer and Gabby Velasquez with us today. And now we're going to chat with Will Carroll, the injury expert, about all things baseball injuries. You can follow him on his Substack at undertheknife.substack.com. And, of course, he is the host of Injury Territory on the Foul Territory Podcast Network. Will, how are you this afternoon? Just seems like we're having a little bit of difficulty with me getting connected with Will here. So just bear with us here for a moment, Will, if you can. And we'll try to get this set up in the studio. Do you have me now, Will? Nope, I'm not hearing Will. Okay. Austin, you work on that. And while we are working on that, we'll talk about Lars Nootbaar because I know that Will is going to come, Gabby, with some information for us about him with the Cardinals progressing his rehab assignment to Springfield. He's a guy that, as we were talking about the Cardinals and their ability in the lineup to kind of get things going and maybe be able to contend with the Brewers, they could add Lars Nootbaar back to this mix. I think it would really elongate the lineup and give them a good look in terms of maybe being able to plug him into the 5 spot. And that would allow for a little bit more depth to the lineup.
Yeah. I think in any case, when you see like they could have really used him yesterday, I think, when you're looking for a little bit of a spark on offense, a little bit more power, you don't want Jordan Walker to be the only guy who is offering you a ton of power. So I think once we can get him back, it'll be a really, really valuable piece for them. And also I miss watching the guy play. I miss hearing everyone just yell "no" when I go to games. It confused me so much the first time I went to see a game that he was playing in.
They were booing?
I was like, wait, St. Louis doesn't do that. I know Philly fans do, but I say, why are you guys booing your guy?
It's a Newt. Everybody loves to cheer for Newt. We'll see if Cardinals can cheer for him soon. Will, do I have you connected with me here?
I hope so.
Amazing.
Hey.
All right. We've got Will. Okay, so Will, let me ask you about Lars Nootbaar. It seems like within maybe a week or so, the Cardinals could be targeting early June. He's progressing to Springfield. What do you know about his status as he's continuing to rehab?
Yeah, everything has gone pretty well. Once they got this thing going, it did take longer than they'd hoped. He had both heels worked on. He had a kind of a bony formation that they had to shave down on both sides. They elected to do both sides. A lot of times, if you were like living life as a normal human being rather than a baseball player, they do one and then, let you hobble around for a little while. But they thought they could get him back in time for the season. That didn't quite happen. But now everything's going well. He'll be at Springfield. I'm hearing June 1st. So that looks like the target.
Would be great for the Cardinals to get him back. Elsewhere, Ramon Arias, he was a pretty valuable piece defensively for their rotation over at third base to begin the season. But then he was dealing with something more complicated sounding, but tennis elbow, right, is what the situation is with him. He's maybe moving toward a throwing program. What do you know about the length of time that could take for him to get back?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you don't normally see that. Tennis elbow is because you're extended. You've got a longer lever than the elbows used to. So with racket sports, you get it a lot. With baseball, you don't. And even with most things, he's been hitting. He just can't throw. So obviously most of his value is in the defense. If he can't throw, he can't play third base. So they're hoping to get him on a throwing program fairly soon. But unlike Nootbaar, he's not a guy who you're going to say, you know what, let's just put him at DH. It'll be fine. That's not his game. So sometimes rehabs have to revolve around that sort of
No doubt about it. And he's a defensive first player that has helped the Cardinals pitching staff when he's out there, former Gold Glove Award winner. A guy that could win one someday, if he can stick around in the league long enough, is Nathan Church. The Cardinals really like the defense that he's been playing out in left field. Oliver Marmol saying that they feel like they've got two center fielders when he's in the game. But he's on the IL right now with a left shoulder strain. What do you know about his status and maybe how long something like this could take to come back from for a guy the Cardinals really like?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because they keep saying strain, and any strain is tendon or muscle. It sounds like muscle in this case. We don't know which one. Marmol had been saying he was banged up. He was sort of run down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a muscle strain. Okay, I get it. Don't know exactly what's going on there. Wish they'd clarify that. I haven't been able to run it down completely. But I was wondering, at first, whether this was in context of Lars Nootbaar. When he comes back, where do you put him? How do you make the roster work? They both essentially play the same position. The question is, will Church shift over? Will Nootbaar shift over? I don't think he will early just because they want him to get comfortable with his feet. He's probably going to DH some. With Church, he's got to be out for 15 days, but there's just not enough information out there. I wish I had more.
I wish I did too. The one that asked Ollie about that and got the banged up quote, and it didn't end up being the case the next day. So we'll see what happens with Nathan Church and how long he might be on the mend and how that timing could line up as well with Lars Nootbaar's return. So a long list for the Cardinals. The Royals list has a couple of names on it. Cole Reagans is probably the biggest one. Are they shutting him back down with the elbow stuff after his last rehab? What's the status with Reagans? Anytime you're talking elbow with a pitcher, I get queasy.
Yeah, he's shut down. And the thing to key in on here is that once he started throwing 100% again, he started getting the same pain. That's bad. You don't want that. But we know this isn't UCL. This is, that valgus extension overload. It's too much force on the elbow. So they've got to figure out what they can do to fix that. The easy answer is don't throw. That's not terribly functional. That doesn't help Reagans or the Royals. So they're going to kind of go back to square one here and say, what we did last time didn't work. We ended up at the same exact place and we wasted some time. So they learned from it. So it's not a complete waste, but we'll have to see exactly how long this shutdown is and see what the next step is going to be.
Chatting here with Will Carroll, the injury expert, whose great work you can check out at undertheknife.substack.com. Continuing along with the Royals, James MacArthur, another elbow situation, and this is one that did need a surgical, not a repair. What's the story with James MacArthur's elbow surgery?
Yeah, they're being very, very circumspect about this, and the Royals are usually fairly open about it. So the fact that they're not giving any specifics has me wondering things. Now, all I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks has been nanoneedle, but I'm starting to feel like this might have been nanoneedle. They went inside and looked around and saw what it was. Again, I don't know, but this is unusual. They didn't say repair. They didn't say anything was reconstructed. They didn't say structure. So this is another one of those little mysteries that I'm working to solve.
Elsewhere, the Toronto Blue Jays have had a couple of injuries pop up in recent days. With Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was just hit by a pitch, but Dylan Cease, maybe some hamstring concern. What do you know for the key pitcher for Toronto?
Yeah, he's so durable that anytime you hear something's going on with him, you almost go, oh, yeah, it must be mine. This is a little more problematic, so he's going to go on the IL. Simple hamstring strain. He just stretched it a bit too much. They thought at first it was a cramp, did the MRI and saw, no, there's some damage in there. So they're going to shut him down for 15 days, which is problematic because they've had so many other injuries. Scherzer's still not back. Shane Bieber is just starting. He had his first rehab outing, and he's going to have at least 3 or 4. And of course, Jose Barrios out for the season after just a brutal injury where his ligament basically was pulling so hard it broke the bone. So tough spot for Cease. He's not going to be out much past the minimum 15, but it's bad timing.
Not the timing, certainly, that the Toronto Blue Jays are looking for, like you said, with other injuries going on. Will, what is the latest with the Under the Knife Substack right now? What can we hear from you and see from you?
Well, so much nano needle, it's almost feeling like nano territory rather than injury territory. Had an interview that's going to go up later today with one of the project managers at Arthrex that invented the nano needle. We're talking about Tarek Skubal being back as soon as next week. So tons of stuff going on in the world of baseball.
Tons of stuff and great baseball injury news. undertheknife.substack.com. Highly recommend you check out Will Carroll's work, and you can subscribe to his podcast, Injury Territory, which is, of course, part of the Foul Territory Network. Will, thanks for hopping on with us today, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
4:37 now on the big show, 875 KTGR. You can give us a call or a text. Yeah, Gabby, a lot of injuries now going along with the Cardinals and the Royals that they're having to find a way to navigate around. The Reagans one, I think, is the most concerning of all. We don't know for sure on Nathan Church. It was kind of a weird one on the Cardinals side, but if I were having to rank them, I would say the Reagans one is potentially the most impactful here just because of how important he is to that Royals rotation.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this is just another thing on top of an already banged up pitching staff for the Royals. I mean, you still got Strahm dealing with, I think, his right knee giving him problems. Who knows when Estevez is going to be back. So, like, even with all of that, like, to lose a piece as instrumental as Reagan's is just, it's brutal. And brutal is a pretty good word to describe a lot of what has been going on for the Royals so far this season, because if it's not one thing, it's another with this team. I mean, Lord. And good news. This happens right in time for you to play the Yankees. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later on around 5:25. The Royals having a lead against the Yankees yesterday and not being able to secure that game, and so they are back down to 10 games below 500, despite the fact that they did have a pretty good weekend overall against the Mariners. I ended up being wrong about that. I said on the show, guess it must have been Thursday or Friday, I didn't expect the Royals to be able to win that series. I thought they would probably drop 2 of 3. They took 2 of 3, but then kind of gave it right back against the Yankees yesterday. So we'll see on Reagan's. The fact that they don't believe it's UCL maybe makes you encouraged, but as Will Carroll mentioned, if you continue to have the same pain every time you ramp back up, it's still your elbow. Like, even if it's not the UCL and that's the Tommy John ligament, at the end of it all, they don't necessarily have a great plan to get him back into good functionality if every time you try to pitch, you're in pain in the elbow. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But like you said, with Estevez out and the other injuries that have kind of happened to this rotation, maybe a little bit of concern there that the Royals are not able to be quite what they were from a pitching standpoint last year. And now, of course, the expectations for the offense, I think, were increased, and we haven't necessarily seen that go their direction either. So we'll get into some more Royals talk coming up at 5:25, but we'll take a break here. And when we come back, we'll go under the bus and decide if any of these coaches making comments at the SEC spring meetings need to be placed there. There's an argument that some would make that Eli Drinkwitz should be, but I don't think I necessarily agree with the other fan bases, Gabby, that feel that way. So we'll get to that coming up next after this live local sports center on the big show, KTGR.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Touche, and this local sports center update is brought to you by Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it, leestirecompany.com. The Cardinals are coming off of a rough stretch, but bounced back in their most recent game on Saturday with a 8-1 win over the Cincinnati Reds. St. Louis got the offense rolling early, putting pressure on Cincinnati's pitching and controlling the game from start to finish. The Cardinals will take on the Milwaukee Brewers tonight at 6:40 p.m. You already know that KTGR has got you covered with the Cardinals action, so make sure to come back this evening. The Royals are coming off of a tight 4-3 loss to the New York Yankees last night. Bobby Witt Jr. had snapped the 2-2 tie with a leadoff homer in the 8th inning off of Jake Bird, but Anthony Volpe delivered a 2-run single in the 9th inning to give New York a 4-3 victory. The Royals will stay home for another matchup against the Yankees tonight at 6:40, where they will attempt to even the series. The Mizzou women's golf team wrapped up its best season in school history yesterday, finishing up the NCAA championship in 12th place. Up next is your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast powered by Shangri-La Dispensaries. With 2 locations in Columbia and 1 in Jefferson City, Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. Visit them at shangriladispensaries.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking mostly cloudy skies this evening with a chance for a few showers and storms near the Lake of the Ozarks early. Overnight, we drop down to about 62. We'll be partly cloudy tomorrow. The best chance of rain will be across southern Missouri. The rest of us will stay dry with highs up to about 84.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Looking back on some of the biggest moments in America's 250 years.
1920, August 18th, the 19th Amendment, women's suffrage. After decades of tireless protest by suffragists, the 19th Amendment was ratified, granting women the right to vote. This monumental achievement in American democracy finally recognized women as equal citizens at the ballot box, overturning decades of constitutional exclusion.
Freedom Facts on KTGR. Thanks in part to Mockins Ford. Learn more at ktgr.com.
The 10th pick in tonight's Little League draft is Jackson Miller. Nice pickup. Big arm, big swing, runs like his big brother is going to kill him. Next is Owen Bradley. Big glue guy in the dugout, still eating glue in art class. Ben Thompson, he's still on the board. Great attitude, strong lungs. Most teams have him pegged for debate or possibly pep band. Not every kid is a first-round pick, but at Play It Again Sports, every kid can play like one. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
1851 Underground Tap and Grill in Fulton loves celebrating a change of season. Spring means new flavors in the specialty cocktail menu, as well as seasonal beers. At 1851 Underground, spring also means the Cards and Royals on TV, with the new hope of a new season. Plus plenty of space with pool tables and a beautiful wraparound bar. Find them on Facebook for daily specials, too. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
It started with something small, bubbling paint, buckling wood. A few days later, you frowned at the sight of a few faint lines in the wood. There was the window frame incident, too. You knocked on it, and when you did, you got a weak, empty thud. Then you saw the first one, a termite, tiny, pale, and very much at home. The more you searched, the worse it got. That's when you called Steve's Pest Control. Steve and his team didn't just treat the problem, they hunted it down. And because they were local, they knew all about Missouri termites, their habits, their hiding spots, their weaknesses. Now, the only thing in your home with an appetite that big is your 2 teenagers. Steve's will make sure that your floors are solid, your walls are safe, and that those nasty, wood-craving little lunatics never attack your home again.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
When storms hit, the damage can be devastating. But really, you can prevent some of the damage a storm causes before it even happens with Advanced Tree Solutions. Advanced Tree Solutions protects you by removing hazardous trees and limbs so they don't destroy your home. Don't let a tornado or high winds decide what falls. Call the professionals with the gear, the crew, and the experience to keep your property safe. Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
My name is Cornell Dillard. For many years, I was stubborn from getting a hearing aid because of the stereotype. I went to hearing aid consultant because they're not trying to move a product. They want to work with you to make sure that you can benefit from their services. And I must say I was not disappointed. And I regretted all the years I let my pride interfere with my ability to hear what I'm hearing today.
Hearing Aid Consultants and All Make Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. Online at hearingaidconsultants.com.
Got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sweetie, the backyard's that way.
Oh, yeah. Just figured I'd use the toilet.
It's not normal for your man to pee indoors. He could be suffering from low D, low deck. A low deck just isn't as fun to pee off.
Maybe I'll try sitting down.
Or no D, no deck at all. But there's help. With Crutch's Custom Exteriors, a sky-high pee platform is all he needs to be and pee like a man again. Crutch's Custom Exteriors, true beauty is on the outside.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on The Big Show.
So, Gabby, I mentioned at the SEC spring meetings that there might be some bus content from that. I think the one that I'm most confident in is Eli Drinkwitz throwing the corrupt local judges under the bus. No judge in particular, but we've seen it a few times, right? You got it on the basketball side with Charles Bediako. We know that there's an impending court date with Brenden Sorsby. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But evidently there is a new rule related to punting, and it kind of goes over my head, honestly, in some respects. But from what I understand, they're changing some rules when it comes to punting, and the Big Ten was out there complaining about it, and Drinkwitz maybe suggested that if anybody in the Big Ten had a problem with it, they could take it up with their local judges who might be able to get it changed for them. I just thought, all right, spring meetings, media days in the summertime, regardless, Eli Drinkwitz is going to come up with some quotes and end up making it into maybe not fully viral, but people are going to hear what he had to say. And then the other fan bases are going to complain about it because they just don't seem to.
Reddit loves the guy. What are you talking about? I think Eli's the most popular coach on our CFB who's ever existed, if you think about it. The judge thing was pretty funny. He had a lot to say about the Big Ten. I think he brought up the fact that they were supposed to support expanding the playoff to 16 teams in exchange for like a certain scheduling rule, like the nine team schedule or whatever.
Right.
It's so complicated. And they didn't. And then he was like, but I don't even want the playoff to expand too much. I'm like, oh, got it. So we're just stirring the pot for fun. Let's go. But
yeah, I remember the SEC media days last year. He had kind of a format that he floated, and then he was upset that today kind of said the people that ran with that didn't really fully understand, and they got some of the details wrong on what it was that he was suggesting. So, Eli Drinkwitz is going to make some waves. We'll talk a little bit more at 5:05, some of the quotes that have come out from Eli Drinkwitz from SEC spring meetings, which are ongoing, and plenty of thoughts coming about the expansion of the playoff, which, coaches seem to favor. I frankly liked the most what Mike Elko had to say about it, but we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up at 5:05. For now, under the bus to the corrupt judges. They gotta go down. Honk. There it is. I knew we could get there. Speaking of the judges, I don't know that the judge is going to necessarily do anything that's going to save Brenden Sorsby, Gabby, because the NCAA has denied his appeal to reinstate his eligibility for the upcoming season. He still has a court date on June 1st, but I saw that the big Texas Tech fan local judge that was supposed to be overseeing that case recused himself, rightfully so, because, again, if you're a big Texas Tech fan, you probably shouldn't be in charge of determining the eligibility for a player who bet on just about every way you can bet on sports. Brenden Sorsby found it. And I understand that he was in an inpatient facility for rehabbing what he has turned to be a debilitating addiction. But, there was no other way for this to go, right? He was not going to become eligible for the upcoming season because he was betting on Indiana football games while a member of the Indiana football team. I don't need to hear about all the Russian croquet that he did or didn't bet on. For me, it just really boils down to that, right? He wasn't going to be able to play.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen, precedent with when all of this went down in Iowa with Iowa and Iowa State players. And this was even almost worse. It was so explicitly not allowed that it's I'm sorry that you really want to play, but you shouldn't have done that. I hope he can stop making all of these bets and make healthier choices going forward. But he might need to just find Indeed.
Yeah. Well, and I guess there's a realm in which he could he could possibly join like the NFL supplemental draft, which hasn't taken place yet, and so maybe he's on an NFL roster actually if he's considered to be good enough for that. But yeah, Texas Tech is who's bumming from this because they spent a lot of money for him to show up. I don't really know what happens to that side of it because he's there, like he came, but you can't.
What are the terms of that contract exactly?
They're looking at the fine print.
Don't gamble.
Fine print in Lubbock. Yeah, because it's something he had already it already happened long before this agreement, right? Like he hasn't been on Indiana, in a number of seasons, but that is the reason, that he's not going to be eligible for the season. What they do at quarterback with that loaded roster full of multi-million-dollar assets, now they're not going to have the quarterback they wanted. So I guess it goes under the bus to Sorsby for not getting the eligibility, and to Texas Tech because I don't know really where they turn from here, and if they still have to pay him his money. I think that could be kind of interesting too.
Under the bus.
And under the bus to the Milwaukee Brewers. I know they took care of the Cardinals, but I was seeing that they are not embracing tarps off the way the rest of the league seems to be doing. Ushers trying to get the people to stop taking their shirts off. Maybe it was more geared toward don't shout profanity, try to keep it clean with whatever you might be saying, which I totally understand. I was cringing up in the Cardinal press box anytime at Busch Stadium. Some of the chants and cheers maybe veered into some off-color territory. But, really, they were having ushers blocking the section to try to not allow people to come join the growing party. That's not a great look by the Milwaukee Brewers when everybody in baseball is embracing this thing, and you're like, no, we can't have that at our stadium. Bad look.
Read the room. We like fun in our baseball, especially if your team is playing well. Let the fans enjoy it. It's not golf.
I had some Cardinals fans asking me if they should try to get the tarps off going at Milwaukee tonight that are going to be in attendance. I said, you got to get it started, but just you got to be a little bit aware of the ushers potentially trying to knock it down a peg. So
take off the shirts, but with golf claps. Golf claps with your shirts off.
And you don't have to be obscene necessarily with the things you're saying, but I don't know if it's clever plus obscene. I think I'm okay with it personally.
Yeah.
For the Brewers, they don't want anything to do with it. So under the bus to them, they're anti-fun, in my opinion.
Under the bus.
And that's the bus for the day. Yeah, I just want to see everybody embrace the fun thing. Credit to the Cardinals too, because I think there's a number of years in the past where they might have been that team and it never really would have gotten started. So kudos to the Cardinals for not, doing what the Brewers have done for sure.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
Well, I saw this on social media earlier today. I think Chase Daniel was leaning into it as well. 100 days to Mizzou football. That's we're going to be in the double digits, Gabby, before here too long and being able to count down to the opener. I'm excited. It's 100 days to go. It felt like kind of early for that to be the case, but that's the case. So get hyped, get excited.
Yeah, May's almost over. It's coming. Football season's fast approaching. Before you know it, we'll be making jokes about Kansas and everything will be right with the world.
And I would classify this as something sweet pertaining to Mizzou football, as we'll talk more coming up at 5:05. Eli Drinkwitz did have an update with the latest that they have to share on Missouri running back Ahmad Hardy. Reading this tweet according to Pete Nakos. Drinkwitz said, quote, "He's been rehabbing in our facility every morning at 9 a.m. We're a long way away from knowing what the football side will be, and that the expectation is the timeline will be clearer around SEC Media Days, which happens a little bit later on in July this year." But the fact that he is continuing to attack that rehab, is there clarity? No, there's not clarity at this point, Gabby, but obviously the fact that he's able to be doing all the rehab and continuing with that process, I'm going to call that a win, but said he's doing well. It's just they're not going to know about the football stuff with respect to 2026. We are 100 days away. That's maybe a little bit the downside, is the more time Ahmad Hardy would have, maybe better chances of him being able to suit up. But I think we're just going to take the wins and the progress that he's making as a W at this point.
Yeah. It's good he's here. It's good he's getting better.
getting better and well on the way to his recovery. Drink talking about, too, that there's not really a lot of kind of past situations to glean and be able to say, oh, here's, what we should expect when it comes to his recovery from this injury. But
you've got
doing really good. So
you've got examples of players getting shot, but it's never the exact same injury or, never the same spot or any of that.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to, there's no exact precedent for any of this. It's not like a hamstring where you've seen it 1,000 times before.
And we don't know exactly. I mean, they do, but they're not at liberty to give us and divulge, I think, all of the details. Drink saying, quote, there's not a lot of return to play protocols with this particular injury, so we'll have to carry that out as we get back. But about 2 months from now, I think it's around July the 20th, 21st or so, SEC Media Days will be happening this year in Tampa. And so by then, certainly expecting to know a lot more. Maybe there will be additional updates that are reported that have come about before then. But we'll continue to root on from afar Ahmad Hardy as he continues his rehab process. We'll talk some more SEC football coming up here at 5:05 as the spring meetings are well underway. And we've got quotes from coaches about all topics, including the playoff expansion. That's coming up next on The Big Show, KTGR.
Hi, my name is Josh Dubert. I'm an exterior project specialist with TrueSun Exteriors and Interiors. May is National Deck Safety Month. One of the things we see a lot, especially this time of year when people start calling us about their deck projects, is rot to their deck structure. And then it kind of unravels from there. We look at not just the topical rot that they're seeing on top, but really the deck safety and the structure. A deck is an extension of your home. Most homeowners don't understand the ins and outs of what makes a deck safe. And it's different than a home. It's while a home is on a continuous wall, a deck is a post and beam structure. So it's completely different. If you'd like us to come check out your deck or you feel you might be interested in what we have to offer in regards to composite, I'd love to discuss it with you and have a conversation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At TrueSun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
It's the event every new and expecting parent needs to attend. The Midmo Baby Expo, presented by Boone Health, is happening on June 6th from 8 a.m. to noon at the Courtyard by Marriott. From diapers and formula for baby to essential oils and massages for mom, you'll learn about new baby products and parenting resources, participate in fun giveaways, diaper changing competitions, seminars, and prize drawings. For more information and tickets, go to MidmoBabyExpo.com. It's the Midmo Baby Expo, Saturday, June 6th.
Who doesn't love spring? The sunshine, birds are chirping, and you're busier than a packed mule hauling boxes out of the garage. This is Silas Kuntz from Kuntz Glass. Push pause on the spring cleaning and get a hold of us about installing a screened-in porch. It'll keep bugs out while letting the fresh air of spring in. And it's an excuse to stop treating spring cleaning like it's moving day. Visit us at KuntzGlass.com.
Kuntz Glass, you can see through it, we do it.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR is Sports Center.
I'm Ed Bankin. We start with NFL news. According to ESPN's Nate Taylor, Patrick Mahomes was on the field with his Kansas City teammates today at the team's OTA. It was the first time since Mahomes tore his ACL at the end of last season. The session was closed to the media, so the extent of Mahomes' workload is not known. Agents have told ESPN's Adam Schefter Pro Bowl receiver Nico Collins and the Texans have agreed to an adjusted contract. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, Kenny Atkinson will return as Cleveland's head coach despite the sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Western Conference Finals continue tonight with the Thunder hosting the Spurs. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. The Thunder's Chet Holmgren says just getting a split out of San Antonio wasn't enough.
I wouldn't say you want to look at it like that. I feel like we're seeing it as we had opportunities that we didn't take advantage of, we didn't make the most of, and now we have opportunities going forward that we have to switch that around for.
You can hear tonight's game on ESPN Radio. Coverage gets underway at 8 Eastern. Stanley Cup playoffs, Golden Knights and Avalanche. Game 4 with Vegas up 3-0. Colorado's Nathan McKinnon won't play despite an injury in Game 3. They'll face off just after 9 Eastern on ESPN.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
From Faro. 15 to the 10, to the house. Bush. Back to the wall. And it's got her. And Arrowhead. Touchdown. Kansas City. To your speakers. This is the big show, baby. Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is the Big Show with Andy and Brenden on KTGR.
Back here on the Big Show, Brenden and Gabby today, as Andy is, he's in a barrel going over Niagara Falls right now. So we wish him luck in that endeavor as we continue to roll along with the show here on KTGR. We'll repeat that Ahmad Hardy update that Eli Drinkwitz gave today at the SEC spring meetings, and then talk about what some of the coaches are saying when it comes to playoff expansion, among other topics. Eli Drinkwitz included had some thoughts on that. We'll get into the Royals. The weekend they had against the Mariners was pretty good, but the Monday that Lucas Erceg had was less so, and the Royals dropped one to the Yankees yesterday, so we'll talk about that and potentially preview a new Ninja Warrior-like event going to an Olympics near you. Talk about that coming up at 5:45. Cardinals pregame coverage begins today at 5:50, so make sure you hit the KTGR app up to hear our full show. But first, let's do this because it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Cardinals split the weekend against the Cincinnati Reds. They had 2 days of rainouts and a doubleheader on Saturday. Cardinals won the first game with a big offensive eruption and nearly came back to win game 2, but an extra innings fell in the, the 11th inning. Yesterday, Jacob Mizorowski happened, plain and simple. Cardinals dropped the series opener in Milwaukee 5-1 to the Brewers. 12 strikeouts for Miz, and he was throwing a lot of smoke. Matthew Liberatore had 10 strikeouts, but gave up 3 runs in the first inning. That's all Milwaukee would need. Cardinals now trail 2.5 games behind Milwaukee in the division, but they are in second place because the Cubs just keep losing.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
The Royals did exceed my expectations over the weekend. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. Shout out to Stephen Kolek, who continues to do some great things in that rotation. He had a complete game, 9-inning shutout in their win on Saturday. But yesterday happened too. Yankees got the better of the Royals as Lucas Erceg gave up a couple of runs in a 4-3 loss. The Royals had the lead late, weren't able to hold it as their bullpen woes continue. They just can't really afford issues like that given their deficits elsewhere.
Number 3.
Yeah, the Ahmad Hardy update that was shared by Eli Drinkwitz today at the SEC spring meetings. It's not super substantive, but Drink said, quote, he's been rehabbing in our facility every morning at 9 a.m. We're a long way away from knowing what the football side will be, but just encouraging, I think, that Ahmad Hardy is continuing to do well with that rehab process, and hopefully will just continue on his pace toward the road to recovery.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Matt Zenitz and other outlets reporting, the NCAA has ruled Brenden Sorsby will remain ineligible. He's going to return to campus at Texas Tech after getting the inpatient treatment that he needed for his addiction recovery. He says, I'm deeply sorry to everyone I've disappointed, and I'm committed to the hard and necessary work ahead. I just don't know if that's going to ever include college football again because, you were with a college, you bet on that college team's game. It's pretty cut and dry. Unfortunate for Sorsby and certainly for Texas Tech.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
Eastern Conference Finals are over. The Knicks swept the Cavs in 4. Will former producer, current Knicks fan, Chris Mitchell, ever let Gabby hear the end of it? If the Knicks can beat whoever comes out of the West, we'll see.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875-KTGR to give us a call or a text. Gabby, I don't think Chris will ever let you hear the end of it if the Knicks end up winning the NBA championship this year in the finals.
No, I do feel a little better that it wasn't just my Sixers that got swept by the Knicks. Apparently, it's just everyone, except, I've heard a lot of people be like, are the Knicks going to sweep in the final? No one sweeps in the finals. Not even the team of destiny. And it's even worse to me that the Knicks are just so likable. I like this team. I like how they play. I like the players. I like the stories. I like that Karl Anthony Towns has been amazing ever since he was on The Devil Wears Prada. The fact that he was on in that movie at all. I can't turn on my hater glasses, and it infuriates me. I really wish I could root against the team that Timothy Chalamet vehemently supports, but alas, here we are. I guess I'm rooting for the Knicks in the finals.
I know that I am. I know that I put $20 on him a couple months ago, and that's still looking pretty good. So
you don't play for the Knicks.
My concern is still that kind of whoever comes out of the West is just going to be better.
Terrifying. Both teams so far have shown that they can play dominant basketball. And, one team has the tallest, craziest man alive, and then the other one has SGA, who's good at basketball and also flopping. So, we've got
flopping is too much. I hope the Spurs just win the West just because
we can end the discourse. We can put it to bed for an off season.
Does that make me like a bad fan that I'm like, just enough? I kind of agree with the people that are talking about the flopping. Like, first of all, I know there's all this discourse, but is it crazy to just say the NBA could put a stop to it if they wanted to by disincentivizing it and saying, look, if you're that blatant about it, it's going to be a technical foul. It's going to be something against you. And then they could stop it at I saw a video of SGA the other day where he's balancing on his knees on like an exercise ball, catching objects that are thrown to him without falling. Like, this guy's balance is as good as anybody in the league. You don't need to be falling like that.
He doesn't.
I get it. It's incentivized, but at the same time, it's like, do we have no shame?
It's also a little unfair. It's not like Wemby could do that, because if he tries to flop with that body of his, he will snap in half.
He would break. Yeah, you want to be off the floor.
I think the only without the NBA intervening, the only way we're going to see this flopping stop is if SGA accidentally hurts himself doing it. I don't want that. I like watching him play basketball most of the time, but
I think he's too experienced. He's too experienced at it.
Too good at it.
He knows how to fall. Like,
he's
that's
like a European soccer player, like he just knows how to make it look as painful as possible. While the entire time you're like, you're fine.
Being able to fall in a way that minimizes injury.
It's like pro wrestling. He could be a pro wrestler. Just go to WWE. SGA.
Who's the guy? It was before SGA. I'm trying to remember who the last. It was a bigger guy that was kind of notorious for maybe not flopping as much, but he would hit the deck a lot. He would fall down, and it's not like he's probably still active. I just can't remember who it was in reference to, but I remember seeing that he intentionally falls, and it's like, why is this guy always on the floor? Pick yourself up. But at a certain point, you just allow the fall to happen in order to not strain against the fall, which can create those injuries. If you're going down, at least know how to fall. Yeah. SGA certainly has the ability to do that. So I don't know. I want to see.
I Googled NBA best floppers, and I got. Okay, they're saying LeBron. LeBron doesn't count. He's whatever.
I knew he'd be on the list, but that's not fair.
They said James Harden. It's not helping him, so it wouldn't count. Chris Paul, Marcus Smart. What's up, Marcus Smart? I remember him.
Well,
is he still playing?
It'll come to me someday.
Has he retired?
No, I think he's still kicking around. That's another game we used to play. Is he still in the league? That's
still playing.
That's another Chris Mitchell special. But yeah, I don't know. It'll come to me eventually. But let's talk about everything going on down at the SEC spring meetings, where when Eli Drinkwitz gets in front of a microphone, people tend to lose their minds and take whatever he says and usually run with it and potentially take it out of context. I'm reading this from Andy Staples mentioning that Eli Drinkwitz was maybe the first person to bring up the notion of a 2014 playoff last year. And Drink said I was ahead of my time when he was asked about that today, but also said that the people who kind of jumped on it got the details wrong. And I remember that was kind of a meandering comment from Drink at SEC Media Days last year, where he was even maybe thinking 28, 30 teams could be involved. But when you talked about the details of how he came to that, it's not all too dissimilar from the idea of some of the 24-team stuff that has been discussed. But here's a quote from Drink, Gabby, that I'll get your thoughts on. I know Andy agrees with it, even though he's over the barrel in Niagara Falls today. Nicole Auerbach tweeted this quote from Eli Drinkwitz, quote, "I believe in the SEC championship game. It's one of the best games that the SEC puts on every single year, and I don't know why you would want to get rid of that just because you want to get to the next thing." Preach, 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 Eli Drinkwitz. I don't think I could have said it any better, and it's so great to see a coach in the league standing up for that game. I've said it on the show, Gabby. I don't think it stands a chance. I think the game is going by the wayside, but I at least can appreciate Eli Drinkwitz doing his part to try to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I think especially when it's something that you long for, that you haven't gotten to win it yet, it's easier to really say, you can't take this away from me until I've gotten that feeling, right? But it also, like, look, I'm with you. I love conference championship games. I think that there needs to be something else other than the playoffs that matter. And it's just such a great atmosphere. It is I think it's a reward for a hard season of work. I think that it keeps conferences mattering because you've got to want to win your conference. And especially like if you're the SEC and you claim that you're the cream of the crop, that it just means more, then what is it? You know, the championship has to mean more. It has to mean something to you, worth, you know, I'm going to sound so weird and romantic about it, but, you know, take away the revenue, take away the TV deals, take away all that stuff. It's about being the best in the group that you choose to play in. And it should mean something. The regular season should matter beyond making a 12, 16, 24 team pool. Like, there has to be something else to fight for. And the idea of taking away conference championship games makes me furious and upset. And I know I'm like punching against a tsunami here, but you know.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah. And also, like, don't take it away until my schools want it. Like, come on. Give me a break.
I agree. I agree with that too. And like, I think some of the programs that are maybe a little less enamored with it are maybe the ones that have just, it becomes almost the expectation. And it's like a bump in the road of, oh, you want us to play this game? We're really focused on the national championship. And like,
cry me a river.
I agree. I don't respect that at all. And I just would like to see whatever playoff format they come up with would be one that can preserve these games. And I'm feeling pessimistic about that. Let's go with Mike Elko's thoughts on college football playoff expansion talk. According to On3, he said, quote, "What does Mike Elko want? 40. Then I won't get fired." But he says it's okay to make the playoff. Or he said it's okay to make it hard to get to the playoff. None of us are answering for the good of the sport. We're answering for the good of ourselves. That's kind of been my thought, where the coaches that are saying, "Oh, give me more expansion to the playoff. We need 24. You know, we need." Are some of those coaches maybe just thinking that's their best avenue to be able to get into the field, and therefore, as Elko alluded to, it's the thought of, well, you know, that's the easiest way for me to keep a job. I don't think that matters to most people that are consuming the games, that consume the sport. Is like, no, duh, coaches, by and large, not every coach is going to feel that way, but by and large, coaches are going to say, yeah, make the playoff bigger, because then if I can get into it, it's going to help me with contract negotiation. It's going to help me with you know, everything that I value from a job security standpoint. And so, like, why are we necessarily making a big deal out of it when they say, oh, you know, this coach came out and said he supports it? Well, why wouldn't he? It makes sense for him if he's doing it from a selfish standpoint.
Yeah. And also, you know, every time I see something like that where, you know, the expanded playoff will make it easier for these coaches to keep their jobs, the goalposts are going to move. the second that playoff expands, it won't just be enough to make it. It's going to be about making it to the second round, making it to this round. You think about, basketball, obviously very different situations, but, from like Mizzou's perspective, for example, for a while it was simply make the tournament. But now with the expanded field, you kind of get the sense that it's not just make the tournament, it's make it past the first round, win a game in the tournament. And I think that you're going to see something really similar in football, to where like fans, athletic directors, they get greedy. I am fans. I get greedy. So, it won't just be enough to make a 24 team playoff. You're going to want to you want to do something with that, because when the field is muddier, it requires more to stand out, and people are going to start wanting more. They're not going to just want you to make the field and play, whoever, Illinois football in the playoff. They want you to make it farther. They want you to make it to the games where, the lights are really, really bright and the stadiums are NFL stadiums. They're going to want that the second that you make it bigger.
Yeah, and you're right. I think the goalposts will move a little bit, and we'll say, oh, that's cool, but it's not, my team making the playoff isn't what I thought it would be, because I always had it envisioned when it was only, when it was 4 or when it was 12. I think 12 is a number that there's still a lot of accomplishment that takes place if you are getting into the playoff as it's currently constructed. I think the gap between 12 and 16 is real, but it still feels pretty exclusive. You move it to 24, which is apparently what a lot of these folks other than the SEC have been advocating for. Then, I'm just not sure that it ends up being quite so much of an accomplishment when you get it done. Kirby Smart had a comment on maybe not having conviction, according to Pete Thamel, on what the format should be. Kirby's comment was, quote, "What's your main purpose? I do agree with Commissioner Sankey. We are not a tournament sport." And the more you keep adding to that playoff format, the more it's like, let's just get to the tournament. Isn't that how we talk about college basketball in so many ways right now? It's, the moments during the season can be fun to look back upon, but if you're not making it to the second weekend, if you're not doing it in March Madness, we don't really care. Depending on what program you're talking about, you could have a really successful regular season, but if you flame out in the tournament, their fan base is going to be asking for your job, right? Maybe not asking so politely. Maybe they're calling for it. In football, I don't think it should be that way, that the only thing that matters is the postseason.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you get it to a point where you're at 24, that's what you've done. You said like, it's all about the playoff. And as long as you had a pretty good season, you're going to be able to save your season in December or January or whenever they start. Let's have the regular season still mean something. Kirby Smart, I credit to him. Although, again, you always kind of think about the filter through which these comments are made. If I'm Georgia, I'm not looking for a 24-team playoff, because I'm like, I'm Georgia. I'm going to be in the top 12.
You don't need it. Yeah.
I'm going to win 10 out of 12. And if not, maybe there is the attitude that we didn't deserve it that year. But like, I'm not going to agree on everything. I imagine that they're maybe not as hip with the SEC championship game because of the fact that that's kind of an impediment, a way that you can lose a quarterback to injury, that sort of thing. I think that was a comment that was made where it was, Lane Kiffin said this about the SEC championship game and Kirby Smart's love for it. He can say that he loves the game, but he didn't love it when he lost his quarterback in the game. So like, there's maybe a little pushback on Lane Kiffin. If Kirby Smart is stumping for the SEC championship game, credit to him. But I like that, even if I have to question where Kirby Smart is coming from and why he's saying maybe don't expand the playoff to make it a tournament sport, I can at least appreciate that he's on my side, and the side that I think a lot of fans are on, because we know that the fans don't usually get consideration in these conversation rooms.
Yeah. And I think, thinking about it from that perspective too, like just the idea of expanding and it's not like the SEC is just wanting to take every spot in the playoffs as it stands, because look at how it went last season. It was the Big Ten's playground pretty much. And then the SEC did not look nearly as dominant as it wanted to. So you would think that, under circumstances like that, they would be like, more, let's put more SEC teams in. But no, I think that they kind of realize that you will reach a point where, you know, a game against Texas A&M for Mizzou doesn't actually matter and couldn't, you know, decide whether or not you have the record you need to get into the playoff field. And then no one really cares about that game anymore. And you really don't, I just don't see from the school's perspective how you don't want that, because why would you buy tickets that cost more to go sit in a more expensive, pretty end zone if the game doesn't really change anything? Because I think, you know, football, if we're talking ticket sales, you know, football is a game that requires a lot of stamina to go watch live and in person.
Yeah. They just don't think about the fans, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not talking about things from that perspective, because it doesn't really ever cross their minds. I don't think the stuff that crosses the minds of coaches is, and it's not just the playoff format that's being discussed. Like, obviously, all the NIL, the lack of the ability to enforce rules. That's kind of the thing that I think is the backdrop here for these SEC meetings, where the frustration has sort of been mounting. The Kirby Smart comment that's making the rounds, that's probably a bigger deal than what he had to say about playoff expansion, is this one. He said, quote, "I've said this for a long time to our president. I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find rules that everybody plays by, then we should play on our own. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and play. If we could actually function financially, it would make our programs more stable. We could support things financially. I'm talking about all the sports and do our own rules. I'd be for that." So he's not just talking about a football breakaway. His comment was he worries about what could happen to the other sports in the event of continuing down this path with the NCAA that they're on. He feels like football continues to take, and then victimized will be some of the other non-revenue generating sports. And he thinks if we've got the money, if there's enough interest, that basically SEC football can head this on, be its own entity, and then be able to financially support the other SEC sports, where it's going to just mean more, not just in football, but in everything else, that he thinks that that's something he wouldn't be afraid to do. And that would obviously be a seismic shift to the landscape. It's something we talked about late last week that I wouldn't be surprised if it comes someday. But to hear Kirby Smart saying that, Gabby, is like, I don't know, how realistic could this end up being, is maybe a fair question.
There's a lot of things that have occurred in the world of college sports that I would have told you you're crazy for even suggesting 5 years ago. So at this point, I'm not leaving anything off the table in the realm of possibility. It would be fascinating to see the effect on a competitive level for some of these non-revenue sports. I mean, you know, there's a lot of sports that I watch where the SEC is basically a lot of the cream of the crop anyway, so it wouldn't affect too much. Like, you know, gymnastics, softball, you know, a lot of those top teams are SEC anyway. But that's a lot. What happens to track and field, to golf, to like
they're playing the
swimming?
SEC. Like,
I
think that's Kirby Smart's suggestion, is like he mentions the finances of it. I saw the Iowa State AD last week said, "Let them break away. We should break away from them. Let them go."
He was mad. He was just
he was.
grumpy. He lost his school's gymnastics program and he doesn't know what to do.
It's not sustainable. It's not fair to those programs. Like, there shouldn't be a situation where a school's gymnastics program or a tennis program or, you know, whatever the case may be, is threatened because the money of it all just doesn't add up, because you can't square the ledger with what football is taking and what football is demanding. But like, you also, if you're a program that wants to succeed in football, which is the most high profile of the college sports, you have to bend to the whim of what the dollars are asking, of what the dollars that are required to succeed at that level. And that's why even the SEC schools that you could look at and say they're at the forefront of being responsible for it, like, you don't think Georgia is spending crazy exorbitant amounts of money on its football program. Of course they are. But also Kirby Smart can look at it and say, that's not sustainable. We're going to keep doing it because we want to win. But at what cost are we going to continue doing this when it comes to the other sports, the other programs that should carry value as well. That is a fair point, but do we have a solution that can keep football getting the revenue that it deserves, and that the players deserve some money because they are putting on the sport and it is attracting a lot of eyeballs? So like, you can acknowledge that while also saying like, it shouldn't be so much so that a tennis program at Arkansas or wherever it may be doesn't get to exist. Like, that's not helping anybody.
Yeah. I think the more that they tie these programs like together, I like the idea, like what Mizzou is doing with its ticket systems, where, you know, if you attend more of the non-revenue sports, you have a better chance of landing better football tickets, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Great idea. Because those other sports deserve to be attended and cheered for. It is funny to hear Kirby be the one to just say it out loud, because I don't know. A lot of those top tier schools were definitely not necessarily playing by the same rules as everyone else. You know, before the Wild West of NIL came to be. You know, it's like hearing John Calipari complain about NIL, where it's like, okay,
right.
Yeah.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
Yeah.
We're all looking for the guy who, and again, it's like, if you're a program like Mizzou, who, like, I think we can all agree was not having those lengths of Kentucky in basketball, Georgia in football, and Alabama in football, where they were doing things under the table. We just know that they were. A Kansas in basketball, for example. And then they say, hey, this is on the up. And immediately we see Mizzou get that influx of being able to be competitive in NIL because they said, oh, this is allowable within the rules. We're going to participate in this because it's the way you have to be successful. But I think from a hierarchy position, not just within an organization or one university, it does come at a cost. So we'll continue to monitor exactly how the kind of the head of the snake, which is the SEC. The SEC has a lot of power in this because they do have a lot of marquee programs. And I do think that top to bottom, all the sports considered, they're the most high profile conference, even more so than the Big Ten, in my opinion. So we'll continue to see what move that they want to make. And again, I don't think it should necessarily come from what their coaches of their football programs think should happen. But Greg Sankey has a lot of constituents, obviously, to answer to. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll shift the conversation a little bit back toward baseball so we can talk about what happened to the Royals when they took on the Yankees yesterday. Had that 3-2 Royals win with good pitching and just getting enough run support. Had that all lined up, and then Lucas Ursek happened. So we'll get into some Royals talk coming up next on the Big Show, KTGR.
Want to see the Cardinals at Busch Stadium this summer? Enter our exclusive ticket giveaways on the KTGR app. Download it now and don't miss your next chance to win. Thanks to your Total Sports Station, KTGR.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
They're one of the biggest brands in all of sports, and they should act like it. They should say, you're one of the greatest athletes we will ever witness. Thank you for bringing us a championship. Thank you for elevating us in that way. But also, we're the Lakers. We don't need to be elevated. No star is bigger than the brand of the Lakers, and they should act like it.
Catch Unsportsmanlike with Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9 on KTGR and the KTGR app.
1851 Underground Tap and Grill in Fulton loves celebrating a change of season. Spring means new flavors in the specialty cocktail menu, as well as seasonal beers. At 1851 Underground, spring also means the Cards and Royals on TV, with the new hope of a new season. Plus plenty of space with pool tables and a beautiful wraparound bar. Find them on Facebook for daily specials, too. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
When storms hit, the damage can be devastating. But really, you can prevent some of the damage a storm causes before it even happens with Advanced Tree Solutions. Advanced Tree Solutions protects you by removing hazardous trees and limbs so they don't destroy your home. Don't let a tornado or high winds decide what falls. Call the professionals with the gear, the crew, and the experience to keep your property safe. Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
From the trainers to the coaches, the equipment managers to the players and fans, it takes a whole team to be truly successful. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you're looking for the best team of jewelers in Columbia, it's Betts. Their staff has years of experience handcrafting jewelry, and when you combine that with the newest technology, it gives Betts Jewelers the ability to truly wow their customers. So talk to the team at your hometown jeweler today. Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia.
It's beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
What happens when a recruiter, a sales rep, and a manager walk into a bar? They leave their day at the door, grab a drink, order a few fantastically delicious burgers, and enjoy their afternoon. Now this is team building. Because Billiards on Broadway was built by people who know how to have a good time and share it with coworkers and friends. A team that needs a break walks into Billiards. What happens next is up to you.
Look on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Call your shot at billiardsonbroadway.com. Play it or plunge it with Brian Ware Plumbing.
The bathroom made my wife cry, so I said I'll just DIY. I'll fix this on the first try. Why? I watched a YouTube video. Whoa. Now I think that I'm a pro. Whoa. I'll have the stupid toilet fix. Whoa. Before you even have to go. I watched a YouTube video.
Vote now on the Brian Ware Plumbing Facebook or Instagram page.
Time is almost up. There are only 10 spots left for the Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel 9-day European Christmas vacation. And once they're gone, well, they're gone. Picture yourself walking historic streets, taking in breathtaking views, and experiencing Europe the way you've always dreamed about. These final spots are going fast, so don't spend another year saying, maybe next time. Because next time may just never happen. Save up to $350 when you book before June 7th. But you better hurry. Reserve your spot today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
250 years of American history. No letter grades, no final, just fun. Take our red, white, and blue quiz now at KTGR.com and test your American history knowledge. Thanks to Midmo Telecom. The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got the Big Show on KTGR.
So, Gabby, we saw Lucas Erceg go a week between appearances, essentially. And a couple of days ago, he gets into the game. Royals have a big lead, but you got to get him some work. That happens sometimes with closers. But he gives up 3 runs in the 9th inning of an 8-6 win over the Mariners. Didn't blow the save, but there was no save to blow. So it's like, all right, whatever. It wasn't a save situation. Sometimes closing pitchers get a little squirrely when they're in a game and it's not a safe spot. Well, it was a safe spot yesterday against the Yankees, and boy, is Anthony Volpe happy that he was seeing Erceg, because it's been a tough year for Volpe. Just recently came back up from the minors, and he gets the big heroic hit as the Yankees beat the Royals 4-3. Oh, we're right back to square one with the Royals after a weekend in which they beat a team that I still think is pretty good in the Mariners, 2 games out of 3. Gabby, they lose to the Yankees, and it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and go downward in any direction, but they're still 10 games under 500, which is going nowhere fast in Royals land. What do you make of what we've seen from KC over the last few days?
I don't know if Erceg maybe wanted to celebrate AAPI month by giving my half Filipino king Volpe something to celebrate here, but that was pretty gnarly. That was pretty bad. I think I saw a headline that made me laugh where it was like Royals snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And I think that that's just a pretty good way of describing how games can go wrong real quick for this poor team. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. Like, you have a game during a time period where Salvi is suddenly his OPS suddenly at 1,000 for the week, and he's playing great, and he's hitting the ball, and Bobby Wood Jr. is just going to be Bobby. He's just going to be good. So you've got like a spark, a sign of life. You were able to, and I agree. Seattle's a good team. They're weird, but pretty good. Just weird. You're able to get some wins there, and you're like, maybe we can start to string something together. And then you just gift the Yankees a win that they don't even need, and that they didn't even have to try that hard to get, where they just kind of hit the ball exactly where it needed to be. And I feel bad because I honestly, like, most of that team played a winning baseball game, but you just put a guy into a kind of like a high pressure ish situation that he clearly wasn't ready for, and you suffer the consequences, because that was like, I mean, as soon as you saw the Yankees get those runs, you kind of knew that. I don't know. I don't think Kansas City, they're not the most clutch team out there right now.
Hey,
and like
they spent their allotment, get 3 runs. That needs to be enough. That's unfortunately the way it goes for the Royals a lot of times. Is for them to be successful, you have to win those 3-2 type of games. They got a home run from Bobby Witt Jr. to make it 3-2, and that needs to be your final score. Urseg's struggles from Sunday, then extended to Monday, and that's what can be so difficult if you're a manager. You've got your closer. You're like, I don't want to throw him in a situation where we're up by 6 runs or whatever, but I have to because he hasn't pitched in a week. So he pitches a bunch of pitches in the game on Sunday, where now you have him in the exact situation that you need him on Monday. And it's like, yep, he did spend a bit of energy yesterday on something that didn't really matter that much. Didn't necessarily need to have him be the guy that was in that situation. But because he hasn't thrown, we're just going to get him some work. And then invariably, the next day is like, yep, one run lead. Make sure you protect it. Oh, here you go. You got guys on base. And Volpe comes up with the big swing. So for the Royals, I just don't know. I just don't know where you go. If it's not one thing, it's another. I think you said that earlier, and that is kind of what encapsulates what's going on with that team this season. They're right now sitting in 4th place. The only team that feels worse in the AL Central right now is the Tigers, who is 12 games under 500.
They're getting Scooble back soon, right?
Yeah, but
I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Be a little too late. I'll believe that when I see it too. Anytime we're talking about elbow, it concerns me, and that's the situation with Scooble, and we'll see how quickly he is able to return after the supposedly very, 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 very minor procedure that he had. But that's another aspect of this for the Royals too, is like, it's not just on the field where things aren't going well. Cole Reagans to be dealing with a mystery elbow issue that they're not able to resolve, that they rest him, they give him some time off, and he's not able to bounce back from his rehab the way that he was hoping to, is a real concern. He pitched on Saturday. They said will remain sidelined for 2 to 3 days before being evaluated by team doctors. So we should be getting something from him or on him coming up today or tomorrow. But like, okay, we're still optimistic. There's a setback, but we're still feeling good. How can you continue to feel good when it's like
when
the elbow,
your pitching staff is on IL?
And that's your guy. I mean, that's the guy that needs to be able to, as we look at this Royals rotation and say, well, it's been okay, but it's not quite to the level that we're used to seeing from last year. Like, Cole Reagans is the guy that could come in and get it done. They're wasting Michael Wacha starts left and right. He's been really good.
He was so good
in his outings. He was good against the Mariners over the weekend. Yeah, I don't know what you say. I don't know what you say at this point for the Royals and the Yankees. He was a starter in that game yesterday.
Yeah.
His numbers,
mostly.
He has been, I'm going all the way back to April. Every start for him in the month of May was at least a quality start. 7 innings, 2 runs, 7-0, 6-3, 6 innings, 1 earned run. And then yesterday it was 7-2. He's got really good numbers on the season, a 2.69 ERA. And it seems like they can't win his starts.
Take that productivity and copy and paste it onto the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals are going to be set. It is.
I'm so impressed with Waka, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
going from where he was when he left the Cardinals, and I was like, yeah, it just feels like the injury stuff is going to catch up to him. And he has just continued
Somehow
that
he's the
along
only
his
healthy
career.
pitcher. He's the only
healthy
healthy
Royal.
pitcher left on Kansas City's roster with
Imagine
Estevez, Reagan, Strom, MacArthur. Oh my God.
Not seeing MacArthur
Marsh.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bubich. Oh my
And Ursaga's
God.
not pitching well.
Oh
So,
my gosh. This is
You good?
I just keep scrolling down the injury report.
Oh,
It
the
just-
injured list. Your thumb gets tired. You're going to be on the IL with an injured thumb trying to
I
scroll,
know.
see all the injuries that the
There's
Royals have done.
floating bodies going on or whatever what was
Yeah,
going on
we
with
got
Scooble.
loose bodies. We got loose bodies.
Loose bodies.
Have to be taken care of. Well, I don't know that I can necessarily say things are about to get a whole heck of a lot better for the Royals at 10 games under 500. I think you got to probably start here pretty soon. They're taking on the Yankees again this evening with a 6:40 first pitch. Cam Schlittler will be the starter for New York, and he has been phenomenal this year with a 1.5 ERA. Bailey Falter going for KC. His ERA is nearly 10. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Yankees probably win that game tonight. But you know what? The Royals have surprised me before. We'll see if they're able to do it once again. Now we're going to take a quick break, bring you another live local sports center. And when we come back, we'll mention this new event coming to the Olympics and also an update on Patrick Mahomes, because we got some video evidence from the Kansas City Chiefs now that he, I don't know, is looking good at OTAs. That's all coming up next on The Big Show, KTGR.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Touche, and this local sports center update is brought to you by Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. The Cardinals are coming off of a rough stretch, but bounced back in their most recent game on Saturday with a 8-1 win over the Cincinnati Reds. St. Louis got the offense rolling early, putting pressure on Cincinnati's pitching and controlling the game from start to finish. The Cardinals will take on the Milwaukee Brewers tonight at 6:40 p.m. You already know that KTGR has got you covered with the Cardinals action, so make sure to come back this evening. The Royals are coming off of a tight 4-3 loss to the New York Yankees last night. Bobby Witt Jr. had snapped the 2-2 tie with a leadoff homer in the 8th inning off of Jake Bird, but Anthony Volpe delivered a 2-run single in the 9th inning to give New York a 4-3 victory. The Royals will stay home for another matchup against the Yankees tonight at 6:40, where they will attempt to even the series. The Mizzou women's golf team wrapped up its best season in school history yesterday, finishing up the NCAA championship in 12th place. Up next is your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, powered by Shangri-La Dispensaries. With 2 locations in Columbia and 1 in Jefferson City, Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. Visit them at shangriladispensaries.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking mostly cloudy skies this evening with a chance for a few showers and storms near the Lake of the Ozarks early. Overnight, we drop down to about 62. We'll be partly cloudy tomorrow. The best chance of rain will be across southern Missouri. The rest of us will stay dry with highs up to about 84.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
To celebrate America's 250th anniversary, we want to hear from you.
My name is Megan McConaughey. I'm the Communications and Outreach Supervisor at the Columbia Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think it is the power and the collection of kind of working towards the greater good. When we are working together, making life thriving for everyone, that is something that feels truly American to me.
Voices of Freedom on KTGR. Thanks in part to Midmoat Telecom. Learn more at KTGR.com.
Hey, construction dude, congrats on the killer contract in Cape. Sweet. So, how are you going to get that Mongo crane down to the job site? Here's a haul of an idea. Just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for heavy equipment hauling, too. Semis, dozers, RVs, goosenecks, farm and construction stuff, school buses, boats, bring it. If you use it, they can move it. Call the team they think you'll really love to meet. I70towing.com. Goosenecks. Give me some long necks. When you think Crutch's Custom Exteriors, you think of the best decks in mid-Missouri. And pee jokes. That's fair.
But you can think of them as the best landscapers in mid-Missouri, too. Because, come on, you gotta have a beautiful view to take in while you're peeing off your deck. That's right. Even the most incredible bathroom has nothing on the beauty that Mother Nature can offer. With Crutch's Landscaping, true beauty is on the outside. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
Peanuts, popcorn, hand-cooked tires, hip. You wouldn't buy tires at a baseball game, but thanks to Lee's Tire Company, the money you save on tires could send you home with a couple extra souvenirs. Right now at Lee's, get $100 when you buy a set of any four Dynapro, Ion, or Select Ventus tires from Hankook. Or check out Dynapro AT2 Extreme and Ventus S1AS, both recommended by Consumer Report. Take a swing before this offer strikes out.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
You already know that Midway Electric is the top team of electrical pros in mid-Missouri for the last 25 years. What you may not know yet is that they can now service your HVAC system. So to make sure it's ready for the rigors of a hot summer, Midway Electric is offering a summer HVAC check for just $49.99, including AC inspection, preventative maintenance, and pressure-free recommendations. They can handle your electricity, so why not have them handle your air conditioner too? Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
You're gonna learn guitar, gonna remodel the bathroom, gonna start gaming again. You're also gonna spend way too much money. If you're a wannabe hobbyist, get some help at Family Pawn. You'll save big on instruments, gaming consoles, tools, or, whatever you're into right now. If and when it doesn't work out, just sell it back and wait for your next great idea. Visit FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Your yes matters. It matters to the mom waiting for a lung, the child hoping for a kidney, the grandfather praying for a new heart.
Because someone said yes, I got a second chance.
People are stepping up, making the choice that saves lives. Your yes can change everything.
Say yes today. Join the Missouri Donor Registry at donatelifemissouri.org. DonateLifeMissouri.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
The 10th pick in tonight's Little League draft is Jackson Miller. Nice pickup. Big arm, big swing, runs like his big brother is going to kill him. Next is Owen Bradley. Big glue guy in the dugout, still eating glue in art class. Ben Thompson, he's still on the board. Great attitude, strong lungs. Most teams have him pegged for debate or possibly pep band. Not every kid is a first-round pick, but at Play It Again Sports, every kid can play like one. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Oh, boy, we've got more news in NFL circles about guys getting arrested. This time it's Green Bay Packers running back Josh Jacobs, who Gabby is facing 5 charges. Battery, domestic abuse, criminal damage to property, disorderly conduct, just like all the stuff, he's got a full bingo card.
It's incredibly easy to not do any of those things, actually.
Well,
people aren't aware about how easy it is to not allegedly do these
sure,
things. But
you just have to allegedly not do it.
Yeah.
Allegedly struggle with that part of it. So we'll see on Josh Jacobs what it looks like for him. Of course, we've already got the Rashee Rice stuff going on. He's rehabbing a minor knee procedure in jail right now, which is
what's the we talked about that last week. What's the procedure when you're in jail for rehab? Do you just memorize a bunch of stretches before you go?
We wondered if he was getting the personal trainer the information just through the phone, just through the through the double-sided glass. I don't know what the deal is or how much that's going to impact Rashee Rice. It's not great though when you got that going on.
No.
And we see video now from the Kansas City Chiefs within the last hour posted from their OTAs, and Patrick Mahomes is on the field. Doing Patrick Mahomes-y stuff. I knew he was going to be ready, Gabby. Video like this just makes me even more confident that he's going to be there week 1.
I started believing that he had superhuman healing abilities when he took that injury in the Super Bowl in 2022. And I was like, his knee And then he immediately came back and torched the Eagles in the second half. And I was like, oh, he's not a human like I am. He's human plus. Human bonus. Of course he was going to attack this rehab process and recover at a rate that shouldn't really be possible. But like, of course he would excel at it. Of course he would.
That's what he does. And it would be nice if he could get some support from like his number one wide receiver, keeping himself out of legal trouble. But
what's the number one wide receiver? What is that? I don't know if he's even used to that at this point. He's probably adjusted to the idea of I'm going to throw the ball to someone.
That's why he's got to keep having Travis Kelce come back because
he's like, Travis, please.
He's at least reliable to be there.
Yeah. I mean, sure, Travis can't, will his basketball team into not getting swept, but
no, that didn't work out.
At least he can catch
all the videos. I enjoyed all the videos of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Like, I thought it was funny that Taylor Swift was like on the prowl looking out because she goes anywhere and all the little kids probably want to come up and see her, get an autograph from her, a picture with her. But she's like in a sporting environment. So she's on the prowl looking for the kids that are trying to come up to get a fist bump from Travis and was like pushing him in the right directions to make that happen because she's very aware of what that looks like. Like, I just thought that was kind of cool.
I love watching like those sports couples where there's the one like maniac and then the one who's like like how with NFL coaches there's that assistant coach whose job is to pull him back before he accidentally enters the field of play. That's my favorite kind of significant other to watch at like games and stuff. Or the one who's like, okay, don't start this fight. Okay, that's enough. Okay, we got you. No, let me pull you back because I'm not that person. I'm the person who has to be pulled back. So I love to watch this. Yeah. It's like Brenda Song and Macaulay Culkin. Like I love to watch those dynamics at play.
Yep. No, I just thought that was great that normally she's used to people coming up to her and she recognized like, no, all these sports fans.
It must be nice for her. It must be a bit of like a relief. She's like, oh my gosh. I can kind of
also,
just like
right. If she's playing that role too, if she's playing that role, then it's like nobody is going to come. Now there were people I saw. She had like a bodyguard there that was like, let's not inundate her space here a little bit. But it is what it is. But you're right. Travis could not will the Cavs to victory, and so we'll see who the Knicks end up facing as the Western Conference Finals continuing tonight. I think it's going to be the Spurs, but that's not the worst thing in the world. I am a little bit tired of the SGA discourse. You wanted to talk about this Olympics thing, and I do think we need to make a little time for it. Ninja Warrior is apparently an Olympic sport now, is the way this is all heading.
I have to kind of go back in time a little bit to explain how this came to be. So the pentathlon, which has been a part of the Olympics since 1912, has been having a bit of a come to Jesus moment where they're like, how do we make this sport interesting? And watchable, because there were a lot of issues with it in previous Olympic cycles, especially the equestrian part of it, because there's 5 parts of pentathlon here. There's fencing, swimming, show jumping, so on a horse, running, and shooting. And the problem with the equestrian level of it is that the horses that they end up with are random. So there's no bond between person and animal. So sometimes people would get on a horse and the horse would just not be in the mood to jump over anything. Yeah. And so through no fault of the athletes, suddenly they would go from like leading the pack to like dead last because they got on the grumpy horse. And it there's also the talk of like, what does this do to the horse if they don't trust the person who's riding them? Like, there's all that involved. So they decided in 2023 to replace the equestrian part of the pentathlon with obstacle racing, essentially. And they just now nailed down a deal with like TBS to allow them to use similar obstacles that are used on like American Ninja Warrior, insert country here, Ninja Warrior, throughout the world, to use these specific apparatuses to have essentially a beautiful, wonderful, chaotic obstacle course level of this. The athletes are not thrilled necessarily because they haven't been training their whole life to do American Ninja Warrior. They're working on swimming and fencing and like rich people sports. And now suddenly they're having to be like, okay, let me turn on NBC real quick and watch what we're doing here. But This
doing CrossFit. Congratulations.
This news just emerged, and I'm like, man, imagine like learning how to like ride a horse for 1/5 of your sport, and suddenly it's like, actually, you need to run up this wall.
Not the same thing at all. Not even
No, but it's
remote
coming in
sport.
2028 at the Los Angeles Olympics, because what better Olympics to introduce something this ridiculous than the one in the United States? Because why not? I do think it'll be fun. I just think that obstacle racing or whatever, ninja warrioring, should be its own Olympic sport, just completely independently. You had breakdancing be its own Olympic sport. Just you know, you could put breakdancing in place of the equestrian event and the pentathlon, and people would still probably be equally unhappy about it. But
Yeah, I don't think the athletes would have been too fond of that either.
No.
Yeah, I guess they needed like the licensing to be able to do a version of what like we know to be Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, you
Because
don't
they
really
have-
imagine like that this is so
IP.
intrinsically tied to this one show that they had to make a media rights deal in order to have it be competitive internationally and ergo at the Olympics. But apparently that is all that is involved in obstacle racing. And I just think I will be seated for pentathlon now.
Oh, I'm more interested in it now than I was before too.
Yeah, I kind of
Oh.
want to just see what the athletes do, especially ones who have like done it before. I'm like, okay, well, how do you
like, can
train?
do this new thing?
How do you switch up your training methods for this? Like for modern pentathlon, that's what they're calling it now. Modern pentathlon.
Do wonder. They have modernized for the first time in a while, but yeah, I'm kind of glad for that, and I'll be looking forward to that, the 2028 Olympics, as well as the baseball of it all. I can't wait to see what that's about. Gabby, thank you so much for joining me for today's show.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. We'll do it again sometime, and we'll see what Andy's able to do with his Niagara Falls trip. I can't wait to hear about that next week. But it'll be me back tomorrow with maybe another guest, and we'll continue to roll along on the big show, KTGR.
Play it or plunge it with Brian Ware Plumbing.